Jake,
Jake's online.
okay,
Tom's here, but I think he just stepped out for a second.
okay. All right, well, welcome everyone and call to order the study session of the West Valley City Council. It is April 18th, 2023. It is. That doesn't say 4:47. And we are in the multi-purpose room of West Valley City Hall. We have all members attending. Councilman Hoon has stepped out. We have Councilman Itzi Amanu. Virtually, we have Councilman Nordfeld, Councilman Christensen, Councilman Whetstone, Councilman Harmon, and myself here in person. We have Mr. Pyle, our city manager, virtually, and Ms. Kamick joining us at the desk, and she is our city recorder. We have our minutes of April 11th, 2023. I'll turn it to council for any discussion or a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those stand approved. We have no regular meeting tonight. So we'll move on to our communication items, which our first item of business is the form of government discussion. Did anybody have anything they wanted to discuss on that one?
Question on this,
Okay,
on the timing.
that's going to be a Nicole.
Eric's online as well, so if I
Okay.
can't answer it.
Perfect. So if the resolution were to be passed, we have to have 2 public meetings in 45 days. Can we hold those public meetings without passing the resolution?
Yes, you can still hold the public hearings like in a town hall type sense without the passing of the resolution.
And if the resolution is passed, do those count towards that requirement?
You'd have to hold an additional 2 is my understanding, and I can double check with Eric if he's on there. Yeah, there he is.
Sorry, what was the question?
We'll catch you up.
So if we have 2 public hearings without passing the resolution, we would have to have an additional 2 public hearings after the resolution is passed, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
When are we gonna have a public hearing anyway?
Well, we have,
Pass resolution first.
yeah, we have to pass a resolution to decide whether or not to put it on the ballot. This isn't deciding to change it, just put it on the ballot and give the residents an opportunity to vote on the change of government.
Well, here I want to share with you about last time Elizabeth, she came here and she shared something with us, and I just want to share the story with you guys. I think some of you already knew the story. I remember when I think it's about 2014, and we decided to change R110 from R110 to R115. And a lot of people, they came here, fill up this area right here behind us. And also the public hearing, we have about 200 or 250 people. They came and they spoke that night until like probably 11:30 at night. It's a long night, but it was good. A lot of people, they spoke against that policy, and only about 4 or 5 people just for the policy. The second time, about a year or second year after, maybe first, 1 year or 2 years after that, the backyard chicken, same, we have a similar situation. People fill up right here. And public hearing is, we went up like probably 10:30 or 10:45 at night for the second time. So to be honest with you, people out there, they paying their attention about what's going on in our city. And we put that one only once in our agenda, and so many people that came. And this form of government, we put in our agenda multiple times, about 3 or 4 times, maybe more than that. But you see how people, they react. And I had a chance to visit our city a couple times from door to door and twice. I ran to people, they asked me that question, why don't we change the form of government term? And about 100 or 120 something people for 2 times. So I think it's right there. People in our city, they're ready. And you can see that nobody show up. And we put our agenda for study meeting multiple times. Before we put only once, and it's so many people that came. I remember the red chair with the black fan. We had the old one. They fill up every single one of them. Yeah. So they pay attention. So I just want to share that with you, and I think it's last time she said that, but she didn't realize that she studied something about in the past and in our history. Next week, I plan to, do my campaign, and I think we'll bring this matter to every single voter and their front doorstep, and I will tell them, I will explain to them, and to do my best. But that I'm going to do. So I think this one just very much every single one of us, we try to do as much that we can. If the city can help us out to put a mayor short video clip about we plan to do with this form of government for this year, that'd be nice. But if not, then we just go now on and just do door to door and try to talk to people, and that's what I'm going to do for next week.
Okay, thank you.
I can-
Yeah.
I asked my question about the timing on the meetings and stuff because the majority of the feedback that I've received, received one email to change, and the bulk of everything else has been to keep the form of government as is. And I don't think in good conscience, and then I sent out a little survey to folks in my district. I don't think in good conscience that I could ignore that and vote in favor to put this on the ballot. But I don't want to, if we can get, maybe the timing isn't going to work because I recognize we have a deadline to put this on this year's ballot, but I would like to hear more from the residents. I'm fearful that if we put this on the ballot, people will see a change and just vote for it, not fully understanding the implications of it. My personal opinion is I like the current form of government, but I don't want to stand in the way of allowing residents the option to choose. But again, I'm fearful that they may choose that, not understanding the full implications to prevent them from making that choice. So as it stands now, I can't vote for it without more input, whether that's town hall meetings or a survey or something to get a better feel of what the majority of residents feel.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I would echo Will, very insightful comments there. I've had 2 direct correspondences with folks who have asked to consider changing, but all the rest, including my visits to the 9 different community watch groups in the district here on my side of town, and my social media that folks can obviously freely communicate with me. I felt no compelling, besides these 2 correspondences, of anyone else asking for a change necessarily. And for me, I'm also not, I'm not willing to put this on the ballot, mainly because of timing, not just because of the fact that folks aren't raising this issue citywide. But it's one thing if we move into a city as new residents, that's our responsibility to do our research and to inform ourselves about the community we're moving into. But if at any time we're proposing a blanket change of something that affects the whole city, coming from that perspective, I feel like we have the bigger responsibility to make sure there's a fair and objective educational campaign out there. And so having without the commitment to a robust, and that means a sustained process is not the word, but ability to make sure that our residents are informed about exactly what's going on. I mean, we even have a page on our current website that talks about our current form of government or anything else to that matter. I'm not willing to put that on a resolution without that time consideration and that educational component there either.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Hey, our next item is the budget cut discussion. Anyone have any comments on this one?
I read Wayne's memo to us.
Mhm.
About the ones that, are being worked on. And I came away from reading that memo, very worried. Because if we made those cuts and everything, we'd be cutting to the bone and into the bone our city infrastructure. And I'm not willing to say, well, yeah, we gotta make willy-nilly cuts. But these are planned cuts. These are, the divisions have looked at them, the departments have looked at them, and it'll emaciate the city. Like to me, especially our emergency services.
Okay,
I'll preface all my comments tonight on budget with I would take police and fire out of it. I wouldn't cut any of those budgets. But like I said, I think last week, other than I think the suggestion was to eliminate our recent agreement with the league. Other than that, which I don't think we're gonna go back on that decision. I would accept the recommendation of staff of the other budget cuts.
okay. Anybody else? Okay. There we go. Our next one is the council calendar. So we have Shakespearean Festival event tomorrow night at the West Valley City Performing Arts Center. Dawn has agreed to go to that and represent the city, so thank you. That was kind of a last minute invite that nobody really knew about. So thank you for that.
I'm just glad I don't have a script for it.
Yes. They may throw one at you at the last minute. You never know.
You never know.
So thank you for that. Is there anything else on the calendar that anybody was concerned about? Or questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to potential future agenda items. Yes,
Just a question. Last week I had a young lady come to our regular meeting about Constitution Day. Is there anything that we wanted to discuss there about possibly adopting or participating in that?
so I met with the group on a Zoom meeting a couple weeks ago. And Bluffdale did it last year and then they turned it to their city council, their youth council. And we've given the opportunity to the youth council for this reading. And so they're going to meet with the group. And then if they choose not to do it, then we'll bring it back to the council, but it's not until September. So we thought the youth council would be a great place for it to start. So if anybody wants to read, I know our representative that was there last week, he wants to read on it if possible. So if anybody else wants to participate, but when I was talking to them on the Zoom meeting, the three of us just kind of thought it'd be better to start with the youth council and do the youth to youth. They thought that would be a lot more meaningful to the kids because it'll be streamed to the schools here in West Valley locally. So a couple old people wouldn't hurt, but we were trying to do the youth to the youth. Does anybody have an objection to that? Okay. Yeah, Spencer was their youth student that was on the call a couple of weeks ago.
Mayor, and
Yes.
they are meeting with the youth council on May 2nd, just so you
2nd.
know, so
Okay,
it's soon.
okay. That works. Okay. Nothing else? All right, council reports.
After last week's discussion, we did give staff direction on working up a resolution on the Dowdle project.
Well, after hearing and reading Mr. Piles, I'm not sure we'll have the funding for that. So that's another possibility. But do you have the red? They were going to work on that?
And the note that I took was that we were going to try to work that into the upcoming budget for next year. And
Yeah.
that was my understanding, I think.
Okay, because I have a couple budget. In fact, I'll just bring them up. Because we have things that haven't been covered in the past, and I think they need to be a priority. In the puzzle. So the fence at Fazio. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we gave approval for the money and the work to be done, and it hasn't been done. I thought it had been, but it was brought to my attention that it wasn't. And then the graffiti shed over at the CED, whether or not that has been built yet. And Mr. Pyle has his hand up. Maybe we'll just go through them one by one.
Ma'am, and I can wait if you want to go through the list first too.
My only other one was whether or not we have the funds to support the Clean and Beautiful and all of our other city initiative committees before we do anything else outside. So those were my three things.
Commenting on the three, the fence at Fazio. And we can go back and double check this, but I don't believe we ever did get permission to do the fence. Now, I had it on the list last year asking to use CIP money for it, and that was never approved. I can't remember if I put it on this latest one for the budget that I submitted to the council a couple of weeks ago for CIP money, but I'm glad to include it on there. And it was on there last year. We just never got around to approving it or considering those items as a council, but would be glad to bring that back. And yes, there certainly would be money in the CIP for that. The graffiti shed at CED, we resolved that through cooperation within the departments. Public Works found a spot in the fleet building so that Jake can store his truck over there. And so he doesn't need another graffiti shed over at the CPD building. And the Clean and Beautiful programs, I heard mention in the last couple of meetings something about budget being cut, but honestly, I can't remember what that is. So maybe I just need to get a little bit more clarification on what service apparently isn't being fulfilled there. But I can get with you, Mayor, after the meeting, or we could talk about it now, either one.
Okay, yeah, I would just like a report of how much we dedicate to each one of those community citizen involved committees.
Sure, yeah, we can do that.
Okay, because I know we give a lot to outside committees, and I think we need to fund our own first and then the outside ones.
And by outside, just so I can get clarification on the report, do you mean like ones that are associated with the city, not necessarily like Clean and Beautiful or the Arts Committee or theater, that sort of thing, but you mean like external to the city? Can you give me an example of one or two? Like we give some money to the chamber, I believe, but that's the only one I can think of externally.
We give money to Margaret's education program.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And so that's a pretty sizable commitment every year. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Okay,
thank you. Okay, my three things. I don't have to do an email later. Okay,
And may I add a quick report?
yeah, thank you.
Sorry, are we on reports?
Yes, we are.
Cool. So yeah, went to the production of Into the Woods with the kids and had a lot of fun there. And of course, we're always promoting and encouraging folks to go there. And season tickets have always been fun for our family. And then also at the Utah Cultural Celebration Center, this is the last week. So I get next Wednesday, I think, is the actual last day of our Pacific Islander community exhibition that's been there for like 2 months. So yeah, it's coming to a close out there. So if anyone hasn't checked that out, it's free just there in the gallery space. And that's all art and exhibits, displays generated by folks right here in West Valley City. And that'll be up for another week. And hope you get a chance to go out and see that too.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just the Microflex 2.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking that we're also at. I think this will be a great thing for our city, allowing people that have small business or a startup that they want a place to have an office and also manufacturing and warehouse of products. So I think it'll be a good thing for our city to have.
Yeah, a little 1,500 square foot units for 2,000 or less. So I think that's a good base price for those beginnings. So I attended a chamber function this week at the UCCC, and I did get to go see the display while I was there, and it was really nicely done and put together well. And they really used the building to the max for the chamber event. So that is a good asset to have. And we had a lot of people from the Valley because we have West Jordan and others that are members. So it was good to pull those other businesses from other parts of the Valley to come in and understand what the UCC is and that it's a good place to have functions. And so it was really nice. Very well done. Okay. Strategic plan discussion. Don't really have anything on that tonight. Does anybody want to bring up anything? No. Okay, we only have one more motion.
Choo-choo.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and we stand adjourned. Sorry, Lars, I thought you were going to say something, so I was pausing to give you an
I was
opportunity.
wondering if we're having a regular meeting next
No.
week either.
Nope.
We are having a study meeting.
Yes. And it should have things on it.
Yes,
So
it
we have
will.
a meeting.